I'm Erin Lawler-Patterson, the Goodness Chick. I'm a podcaster, motivational speaker, author, counselor, and proud part of the Mental Health News Radio Network. Join me on the journey of navigating the joys and pitfalls of life, addressing mental health, addiction, raising kids, and giving back. If it takes a village, then join me as one of those villagers. Villagers wanted. It can be really hard at times to not get into the habit or the web of accumulating things, materials, whether that be clothes, whether that be any type of object, shoes, kind of kicking up a notch our cars, house, et cetera, and even finances. I think materialism has a tendency sometimes to suck us in even when we're not even aware of it. Depending on what culture you live in, everything is different. But I found it's so prevalent that there's kind of a tendency, the more we have, sometimes it has this ability to detract from our quality of living, where we have this feeling of, I need to keep up with other people, or I need to present this, or I just simply, I just want this. And we find ourselves having more things, more objects, more stuff, more debt than we need. And I absolutely believe that this plays a role in our quality of mental health. When our bills are through the roof and our debt is massive, our anxiety is kicked up, our stress levels kicked up, depression level. And even when we open our closets and we have more than we know what to do with, it's excess. And it's hard not to get trapped into the mentality of excess without sometimes really even knowing it. But I believe something I've personally been working on the past, I'm going to say 2 or 3 years of my life, is trying to become more minimalistic, right? And that can mean different things for different people, but I believe it's being in a healthy mindset and kind of looking at things differently, all aspects of life, and saying, do I really need this, or do I simply want it? And I think when we kind of get in this train of thought of being able to decipher between the two, it can have fantastic benefits for us as human beings. The load we carry is simply lighter, both physically, emotionally, and even socially. I had the privilege of spending some time with a previous student of mine a number of years ago, who was in a peer leadership group of mine. He is currently living in Indonesia on an island called Nusa Lembongan. I had the privilege of kind of catching up with him. We were staying on what's called Nusa Senegang. And when I tell you, one of the most beautiful parts of the earth I've ever been on, just stunning, spectacular, and just wonderful human beings with beautiful, just a beautiful place, man. The flowers, the water, the surf, the sunsets, and it was absolutely a little slice of paradise. So I had the opportunity to catch up with Vaughn, who really kind of drove home the importance of minimalism. And he kind of shares his story. And I love kind of getting feedback from students I work with who are now healthy, wonderful adults doing crazy, fantastic things in life. And this is exactly what he's doing. And I do believe that there is power, like I've referenced before, and so much learning potential in traveling and getting outside of our comfort zone. It doesn't mean you need to pack your bags and go to Indonesia, but it's getting ourselves uncomfortable at times. It's allowing ourselves to see other cultures, meet people that are unlike us, that does just crazy, great things. So that is today's episode. I really hope you enjoy it. And at times it gets a little patchy with sound quality, but we were literally in the middle of an Indonesian island, so you roll with it sometimes. So I hope you enjoy it. And I definitely want to give a plug to, as an affiliate of CBD Pure Oil, if you are not on the CBD train, it is not addictive, it has no psychoactive implications, and it does not have THC. It does not pop up positive for a drug test, and the medicinal benefits are truly endless, from insomnia, depression, anxiety, arthritis, and even acuity with our thoughts. Check it out, goodnesschick.com, storefront. Hope you enjoyed today's episodes, my friend. I've got Linwood Butler with me today. He is you're in Lembongan right now, right? Is that? All right, and I'm in Kuta, so we're not too far from each other, but the power of the cyber world is excellent and makes it so much easier. So I want to kind of get into, just jump right in. You have been in Indonesia for you said, I guess, about a month and a half. What brought you to Indonesia?
Yeah, so I graduated from the University of Tampa in December 15th, so not too long ago, and I was out in Indonesia by January 4th. I came out here for a digital marketing program where I was able to, I'm hoping you can still hear me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was able to kind of further my creative advertising degree, come out here, learn the ins and outs of social media marketing, and then put them to work for a dive shop here in Lembongan. There's fantastic diving, so I'm able to, put my skills to work and kind of further my degree a little bit.
Okay. And you're also working to be, is it a dive master? Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I will be. It's by the end of this, I'll have my dive master certification, which it's a pretty good certification. Allows you to get work, and you can work as a dive master. It's the step below an instructor.
Okay.
So lots of career opportunities, especially here, but also in the Caribbean and things like that, places where kind of allows you to work in tropical places. But the good thing is the work I'm doing, being like a digital nomad, they say, it allows you to work remote anyway. So
okay,
that's the ideal option. Is like I can kind of work from my computer anywhere around the world. And this is where I'm just out here sharpening my skills right now. I'm doing a lot of diving and surfing while I'm at it.
In terms of what you've seen traveling, do you kind of view this as like a continuing form of education? I mean, I know it's totally different than like what you hear in the classroom, but I feel like you learn so much when you travel, and the difference between learning in the classroom and where you're at.
Yeah, and the fact that I'm in a spot for a longer period of time, it allows me just to I'm in a small community, but the community is so different from what any community was that I was a part of back home. So that I think is the most educational part. Like every day I'm learning more about like different culture, different lifestyle, how people get by. And, though I may be the one who people are like, I can't, what is he doing out there? He's just being a beach bum. He's just out there surfing and diving and doing that. But everyone here is in the same boat that I am. So it's kind of like it's comforting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely, but yeah, I mean, my education, like I'm learning so much more from this experience than you can ever learn in a classroom or any type of, degree from back home or anything like that.
Well, it's as hands-on as you can get. And I do believe like we can step outside of our comfort zone, which you've definitely done without even leaving the country that you're from. I think when we kind of challenge ourselves, it does some really amazing things. And I'm going to kind of focus on the mental health aspect of it. Like you stepped away, you took a big risk, you went against the grain, and you've been challenging yourself. Do you feel like that's had any kind of positive or negative on your mental health?
Yeah, it's such a positive. Every day, there are moments every day where I'm like today I was surfing all day, and I remember we were walking back with a group of friends, and we all stopped for a second with just awesome view looking out over kind of the island of Lembongan and like the bay that we were surfing in. And it was just like, there's so many moments where you just stop and you just like appreciate the surrounding beauty. Yeah. And those were things that I didn't necessarily do back home. Like, I don't think I've missed a sunset here. I'd maybe catch a sunset once or twice a month back home. You notice them, you'd be like, oh, that looks beautiful. Let me take a quick picture. But take time out of my day and go to the beach every day, just watch the sunset is something that I didn't do back home. Or I'll like come up from like a really awesome dive and I'll just look around me and I'll just be like, this is such a unique place, such a unique experience. So yeah, the positives on the mental health side of things are just, everything is just slower. You just appreciate the little things that it's too fast to realize or to pick up on when you're back home.
Yeah.
Or it's just, it's not that it's not there. It's just not appreciated or noted here.
Do you think it's finding things, realistically that work, things that you're passionate about, like you are with diving, and what brings me joy? What is it that I'm passionate about? What is it that's good for my mental health? And then doing your best to pursue it. I think too often
Yeah.
finances are super important. They really, really are, like being responsible, but so many times, and this is where I want to get into the whole minimalism thing. We get so caught up in what we think we're supposed to have. It just weighs us down.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. Well, I knew like honing in on the checklist thing, I knew that I needed things in my life that like I would appreciate more than the things I had in my life, say 2 years ago. I wasn't finding the beauty in life that I wanted. So what it like as I kind of am experiencing this more, but 2 years ago I made a decision that I will take a trip like this and at least see what's out there and look for these things that I feel are lacking in my life at the moment. So I made a decision 2 years ago. I moved into my buddy's master closet, slept on a bed on the floor. My rent was like $150 a month. I was working all the time. I didn't have a car throughout school. I just rode an old trash pick bike that I found at one of the houses my dad was flipping. And I'm like, yeah, this is just the lifestyle that I need to live for a little bit to enjoy things long-term in the future. So it was a decision that I don't even know if I realized that I was making at the time, but it's just small changes that I made. And I didn't know I wanted to come to Indonesia or anything like that, but I knew I wanted to do something. I wanted to live in a van. I wanted to sail the Caribbean. I wanted to do something.
Right.
And then this opportunity arose. So it's just, I was subconsciously planning for something. And yeah, it's nice because everyone has like plans, but actually going through to the end of it and making it happen. Like that was the first time in my life that I've actually like really done something like that. And it was incredible. I mean, the whole process, I appreciated every process of it. I loved living in the closet. I loved riding my bike to everywhere. I loved, working from 7 at night until 7 a.m. and then having a 10 a.m. class.
You worked to make it happen. And I think sometimes it's hard to think like, I hear so many people say, yeah, I want to travel. I want to do what you're doing, when I retire. And for some people, that's what they want. Right. But for many people, it's kind of like it's fear holding them back, or, I can't, take a month off of work, or I can't. And I do absolutely believe in being responsible, but I do believe there's often so much more opportunity in living and seeing and doing than we kind of often allow ourselves to experience. And so you're doing that right now. And yeah, you're in your mid-20s, but you're doing it. You could have waited till you were in your 50s. And I absolutely love how I'm hearing it, how it's helped your mental health. I want to kind of get a little bit into the aspect of minimalism, where it's not necessarily, like you have to live in a van or you're living in somebody's closet, but how I think minimalism is something, when we do it in a healthy, balanced way, it makes us healthier. Like, what's kind of like your 2 cents when it comes to minimalism?
For me, it was so much of the environment I was in affected the things that I had, or the things that I wanted to have. Like being back home, you can't help but say, let's, everyone else is going shopping, or everyone else is doing this, doing that. It's kind of just easy enough just to hop in and like do it and buy, consume, because that's just how the culture is there. And, but then suddenly, like instead of maybe going and buying a new shirt, you go and to the thrift shop and you just swap out your old one and get a new one, stuff like that. Those were conscious decisions that I found myself making, and I enjoyed making them. And then I realized that there are cultures where materialism or materialistic things aren't a big deal like they are here. And, I always think like there are going to be moments when I could have, new fancy clothes and stuff like that, or I could be doing something like this in a shirt I've been wearing for the past 3 days. And, it still smells fine. It's a little salty and stuff like that, but that's all right. It's just, I'd rather be here, experiencing new things than saving up for experiences like this, where these memories are going to be so much better than anything I can buy back home. Yeah. And just live in a lifestyle of repetition of just saving money, spending money, saving money, spending money, things like that.
Yeah. And I feel like if you don't have a mix of emotions through different parts of your life and chapters of your life, you're doing something wrong. Like if you're always comfortable, if you're always, kind of doing what you think you're supposed to be doing and not going out of the lines a little bit, and we're all different with our personalities, life is just not as full. And I think when we kind of get into the minimalistic end of things, it is being responsible about, our finances, but I think about how many people, and myself has been included in that, where like you're just bogged down by finances. I'm getting this car and this, with my student loans and this with my bigger house, and how finances can just wring the living life out of us to, like you had said, with going as simple as like, minimalizing, like how many pairs of shoes or how many shirts do you need, and things that we think that don't suck the life out of us that really do. And so it might not mean to, those of you who are listening, selling everything and going to an, island in Indonesia, but minimalism is such an important thing to look at in terms of how can it be applied to your life, from, whether it be our clothes, our relationships, our finances. Too often we are burdened with things that are excessive, that are more want instead of what we actually need. This is where, Linwood, you're talking about with like what you have learned in Indonesia. I think when we have these experiences that kind of rattle us a little bit and put life in perspective, if you end up living in Indonesia or the Bahamas for the, the rest of your life, or you end up back at, in the States, you bring so much to the table, and it allowing you to say like, what matters and what doesn't matter. And I think too many people, whether you're from the States or you're from the UK or from Australia, we get mired in what we think we're supposed to have. And it detracts. And so like getting to talk with you the other day, I was like just a surge of kind of stoke, if you will, because you're kind of, you're putting your words into action. And I say rock on, and minimalism kind of, you kind of embody that right now. And yeah, you're in your mid-20s and kind of you're able to do some things that somebody later in life, it's a little harder, but it also isn't when it comes to de-stuffing, decluttering. And that's not just our stuff, but our minds. And you seem like you're just like, you're in a good place, and I say that is an amazing thing.
Yeah. And, so many people, like right off the bat, when they hear minimalism, they think it's some like wild, far out concept where, I have 2 t-shirts and 1 pair of shorts, and I don't wear shoes, and I live in a room with a bed and a chair, and that's it. But it isn't exact, like our heads go right to minimalism where you like cut off and you ship everything out. And yeah, I mean, that's one side of it. It can be if you want to, but I mean, then again, like I like having a couple cool t-shirts and stuff like that. Yeah. But then again, like my lifestyle that I'm living in, other aspects might be minimal to where it's just like, I made decisions to where I minimized my spending and I maximized my savings and stuff like that. And I just for an experience rather than just possessions. I think that's the big part about it. Possessions are one thing, but they will always come and go. But experiences, I will have this experience with me for the rest of my life. And I think that's the important thing that, I truly am taking from it. And, I hope other people do. And like you said, it doesn't mean an island in Indonesia, 21 hours by flight away from home. It might mean a simple lifestyle change just in your own life, just to appreciate the little things that like, it took me to come all the way across the world to appreciate little things like that. I think that was extreme, and I don't think everyone has to do it, because I think little changes that you make in your life can open your eyes for things like that in, just back home, wherever you might be.
Yeah.
I think that's
that sunset back home. Yeah.
I mean, whatever it might be a sunset, it might be anything. It's just like, everyone's different. Whatever really gets you passionate, or you just want. I think that you want to find those moments each day where you're like, man, life is good. Mm-hmm. It feels good to be here. It feels good to be a part of it. And that might be a million different things for people. It might be working an office job and contributing to an office, mm-hmm. and being a part of a team like that. It doesn't have to be out here doing something like I'm doing. That's like, for some people, they're going to look at me and say, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Why would I do that? And, they're completely justified in saying that. There's nothing wrong with saying that or thinking that. It's just different strokes for different folks, and everyone's doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to do, what you're called. And you said you kind of felt that pull about 2 years ago. You could have put that pull to the wayside and you didn't, so whoever you are that's listening, it's whatever that passion, whatever that sense of having that sense of community wherever you are, and finding those little kernels of goodness, and for being grateful for simply just being alive. And I think there's so many people that take being alive for granted and aren't really living, pulling over and seeing that sunset on the way home from work for like 3 minutes, to, enjoying, a simple cup of coffee and discussion with a good friend, or partner, whatever it is. There's so many little kernels we can kind of let slip through our fingertips. And yes, you don't need to go to Indonesia, but you are in Indonesia. And so to you, I say, good on you. I loved that, I know a mutual friend of ours, Molly, had said, hey, you were in Indonesia. It actually didn't end up being far away from where we were, and getting to see you, it just makes it real, like how beautiful life is. I was so appreciative of you meeting up with me and just kind of reinforcing, how small the world is, but it's beautiful watching people, I'll say kids, begin growing into just amazing human beings.
Well, I mean, if you think about when we originally met, when you were a school teacher, what was it now? It was quite some time ago, years and years ago. I couldn't be any different it might as well be me meeting a new person. I mean, and it's very cool to see people change and to meet people and be with people at different stages of their life, because you're getting a part of someone in a unique moment with unique experiences, and that person is going to be different at another part in their lives, and you need to appreciate that, So I will always be, Linwood Butler, Vaughn Butler to people, or, whatever it may be. Like the people that the person that I am now and who I'm meeting now is different than the person I was when I was back home. And, I may be the same person, but I'm filled with different experiences, and different things that are motivating me, and, different things I'm passionate about, different things I'm loving, and just like different things that are just like making my blood boil in life. And it's different for everyone, Though I'm meeting people now, their experiences are going to shape the future of their lives. And it's so cool just to slow down and take every moment with individuals, because, at any point it might be different for someone. So, a big thing is, like, though I appreciate the scenery and the diving and the surfing and everything, meeting people, I'm meeting people from all over the world. And I'm like, what, I'm getting to share this special moment with this individual in this time in their life. And if I never see him again, I never see him again, but at least I have this moment and I get to like experience things and learn things from this individual.
Well, you carry those lessons with you for the rest of your life, because I think one of the things you learn traveling, that you'll have conversations with people that are super deep from, another part of the globe that you're never going to see again. And that's okay. I think that's one of the beauties of traveling, that you carry those lessons with you forever.
And I meet someone who's so different, and I have a conversation with them, and I'm gaining things from that person. And it's making me a different person and a more rounded person. And I'm seeing things from different perspectives and stuff like that, which, like, how am I supposed to put a price tag on it? I stopped thinking about that a while ago. At any point throughout anyone's journey, it can be anywhere in the world. It can be at home, walking down the street, where you meet someone and you just, I'd never thought of it that way, or, that's such a cool perspective, or what that person is doing is so cool. And like, I've always been a people person, and I can sit down and talk to anyone in the world. And I'm so happy that I can, because all I do is just, I feed off of it, just getting to know from different people and different perspectives. That's like, that's the coolest thing. Obviously this isn't a beautiful place, and I'm incredibly blessed to be here, but the people that I meet and the things I learn from them, I'll never be able to put a price tag on that.
Experience, baby, experience. And I want to say, Linwood, Vaughn Butler, man, thank you for taking the time and finding a signal for us to be able to chat. I know you're, overlooking the water as the sun's coming down right now, man.
Your editor's gonna have
I'm sorry, man. It's all
He's
good.
gonna be mad.
It comes with
Happy with you.
it comes with the turf is where we're going around the world here. But I want to say thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep spreading goodness, man.
I didn't come here for good Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's right. Run away for the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But I want to say, and to those of you that are listening, finding your passion, pursuing your passion, and what do we need? What's holding us back, and what do we not need that can allow us to kind of fly and really have a quality of life? Thanks for tuning in, my friends. Peace, love, and goodness. If you enjoyed today's show, I encourage you to visit goodnesschick.com and sign up for my newsletter, providing insights and encouragement just for you. Thanks for listening, my friends.